Hello, my friends. Welcome to an extremely special Across the Pond episode of the Party Nerds Popcast. I'm here very excited with my pal, Robert Carradine.
Hello.
We are coming to you from a triple secret location high on the Hollywoodland Hills, but we are joined today by my good friend, Patrick Fabian, from all the way across the pond. I don't know what he's doing over there. We're gonna find out.
I'm in a secret location too, right near the dirty Thames. Shh.
Oh,
The Thames.
So where are you exactly again?
Actually, I'm not near the Thames. I'm actually below Hampstead Heath, down in like Queens Park.
Do you live there?
Yeah, I do now. We moved here last August. My girls are in school, and we've decided to stay for another year and a half or so. And we're sort of, decided to have an adventure midway through our lives, and adventure we are having.
It sounds great, man.
We met. We met. When did we do our movie? Like 2013 or something.
Yeah, you say that, and it's like you just showed me.
What 2013? Two years ago.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's the problem. Like your son is now like this giant and this man, and I'm like, that doesn't make sense. That doesn't compute, because it was just a second ago that I saw you.
I know.
Of course, that's not true.
Because we had such a good time. Bobby, Patrick, and I made a movie together with Helen Slater and a bunch of other actors called The Good Mother. And he was remarkable in it, as you are in all of your roles.
Oh, I appreciate that. I had a lot of fun. That was a really fun movie, and you taught me a lot in the way that I watched you handle the set. Because if I recall, it wasn't a giantly budgeted film. We weren't in the millions of dollars or anything, and you ran it nimbly. It was a lot of fun, even though it was heavy material, and I like to say that you let Helen and I act without supervision for a long time before reining us in gently.
But all the performances were great. I'm very grateful to you for that performance. You had to really walk a fine line, and the audiences love that movie. And it's hey, it still streams in all kinds of weird places. You should check it out amongst all of your other awesome work. But we were all applauding and enjoying and in awe when we saw you on Better Call Saul. I mean, that's like it may be a many times in a lifetime experience for you. It's something some of us haven't experienced, being on a show of that quality for that length of time. Would you let all of our friends and fans and your friend Richard Gabai know how that all came to be and a little bit about what that was like?
Yeah, absolutely. You're absolutely right. Look, it turns out, like I was referencing your son getting older. Guess what? My kids are getting older. I'm getting older, and I look back around, and I've been doing this for 30 years, which seems woefully impossible, but it's true. And in that 30 years, I've had lots of fun. It's been very interesting. Like most performers, most freelance, it's a crooked line of getting overpaid for stuff and getting underpaid, getting no pay, wishing you could do something different, working with good people. For the most part, I've worked only with like really good people for the most part, I have to say, in the whole thing. But I was very fortunate to run into, late in my career, all those cats working on Better Call Saul. And to your point, every department was just firing on all cylinders. Everybody was sort of, peaking in a great way, very full of confidence. And I was the beneficiary of all of that. Real quick, if I can.
No, that's what this show's all about. Go for it.
People always say oh, so how did you get the job? Did Vince call you up and all that? Which I love, because they just assume that, like my mom always assumed I was going to have lunch with Tom Cruise because we live in the same town. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's that thing. And I forget, because we are privileged being in the business, and no matter what we're doing, whether it's high profile or not so high profile, we are in a club. And for most people who don't work in show business and stuff like that, it is a club, and they figure we all know each other, and it is a small thing. But I never met those people, and and I've always gotten my job nuts and bolts. I'm a working actor, which is just amazing that I've been able to stop waiting tables back in '94 and make my living doing this. I'm so fortunate. But for me, the key was always auditioning. And the key to that was always casting directors. I got all of my jobs through casting directors. They, they had me in, they thought of me. That was the gateway to me having the opportunity for the possibility of getting employed. And in this case, for Better Call Saul, I hadn't even watched Breaking Bad. And the reason is because my wife was 9 months pregnant when Breaking Bad came out. And we were watching the pilot. and she was sitting there rubbing the miracle of life in her belly. And when the pilot finished, she turned to me and she goes, "Yeah, I'm not on board with this one." And so we had a baby, and as you know, that consumes some time and attention. And so we missed the first couple of seasons, and we had a second baby. And of course, I heard about Breaking Bad, but I literally had not seen an episode. I saw the billboards. I saw that they had, all the Emmys were coming and the accolades, but, I had 2 kids under the age of 5. And so I was watching Clifford the Big Red Dog, which I could talk about extemporaneously. And I just didn't see it, but I knew it was wildly successful. And then I get this audition for Better Call Saul, and I have to back up. I wake up on the wrong side of 50 in this business, staring at my ceiling, because I finally got a house. I have a house, a wife, and 2 kids. And as you know, Richard, they don't mean it personally, but it's kind of a young person's business. The young and pretty is still what they like the most. And so the phone stopped ringing the way it used to, and opportunities became what they are at a certain point. Not, careers have, fallow areas, and I found myself in one of those. And I'm sorry, I have to tell this story. So I get a call, and I have an audition for an ABC family show called Dog with the Blog, and I thought, Dog with the Blog? That's like where the dog is number 1 on the call sheet, right? And I felt bad for me. My ego got in the way. I felt bad for my agents because I thought this is all that's out there. And so finally, I deigned to put my acting suit on, and I learned my lines. And I go down to meet a new casting director who I had not met yet. And I'm like, great. So I go down and I walk in, and it's every guy over 50 in town waiting to have a guest star on Dog with the Blog. And I know all of them at this point, right? And some of them have Emmys, some of them have had leads in shows. And I walk in, and I just got that cold feeling of like, oh, this is a terrible business. But then I was like, look, I'm here. I have my acting suit on. This is what I supposedly know how to do. And I was first up. I go in the room, and I want to say her name is Elena Goldberg, but I might be wrong about that. What I know is that she was dressed. She even had, I think, a hat on. Like, she was dressed for the job. And the boys who were across the table, I'm now making this more of a story that maybe is more the truth, but they seemed awfully young, and they definitely were interested in the McDonald's they were eating. And I came in and handed them an 8x10 like an old man. Oh
Yeah.
my God, I was so embarrassed. I'm like, here, you want something to read? Oh my gosh. And they kind of look at it, and I turn to Elena, and I'm just starting to feel that feeling of like, and she looks at me, God bless her, and she says, all right, well, when you are going to be addressing the camera, you'll be addressing here. And she points to the lens of the camera, and I'm like, I know what a camera looks like. And then she goes, and when you're talking to the dog, you'll be talking to me. And at that moment, I felt bad for her. I felt bad for me. I was doing all of that head tripping stuff, and I push it out, and I start doing my dance. And 3 lines into it, they laugh. And of course, that's all I need. They're laughing. Isn't that great? Like me, fill the hole, please. And I have a good audition. I make them laugh. The material is fun. And we go out of there, and I get in the car, and I think, hey, you know what? My kids will be able to watch this show. It pays American money. Last time I checked, my mortgage wanted American money. This will be great. Hey, as a matter of fact, maybe I did so well. They're going to make this into a recurring character. It's going to be like a 4th episode. I am all down the pike on this. And I do what I never do. I called my manager, and I said, hey, I just nailed that. You can put a pin in that one. I never talk like that. Sure enough, by 5 o'clock, he calls to say, hey, they put a pin in you. Fantastic. I wait 5 days for the phone to ring, which it does not. And by the time I call back my manager to say, hey, do they remember what was going on? He goes, oh, yeah, let me call you right back. And so he makes a quick call, and he calls back, and he says, they passed on you. They went with it. They offered it to a name of your name. Don't worry, we'll find something else. And he hangs up. And I was like, what?
A name of your name.
Boy, I've never heard it put that way.
Offered to. And literally, like, I'm not kidding. The 20 of us who were there, all of us have resumes 20, 25 years long. And all of a sudden, I got like, oh, wow. I got depressed. I got sad. Like you do.
Right, you do, yeah.
2 weeks later, I get this audition for Better Call Saul. I'm coming back to this. And again, I hadn't seen the show. However, the casting office of Sharon Bialy and Sherry Bialy Thomas, I had not seen them probably in about 4 or 5 years. And they cast a lot of things. They cast The Walking Dead. And I thought, well, I'm not going to get this Better Call Saul thing because that's a massive hit. They're going to get a TV star. If they're getting a Name Your Name for the Dog with the Blog,
right,
they're going to get a Name Your Name there.
Yeah.
But if I do well on this, maybe I will get, a 3-episode arc on The Walking Dead season 4, and I'll get eaten by a zombie. That'd be kind of cool. So I get the lines, which is 3 pages of dummy sides, nothing before, nothing after, no script.
Right.
And I'm, you know that routine. And I was just like, I got mad. I was like, what am I supposed to do with this? I was yelling to my wife. She would say I was yelling at her. Saying,
she's right, by the way. She's right. She's right.
She's always absolutely right. She's the poor thing, right? And I said, it's like put me on a merry-go-round with a dart and a bullseye 50 yards away. That's what this is like. Blah, 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 blah. And she says, well, that way, look at this. You can make up whatever you want. I don't want to hear that, right? I want to bitch. But I do. I make up whatever I want. I do my thing. I want to go in. It's Sherry Thomas who's in the room with me. And I sit down and she gives me a note right off the bat. She goes, hey, these guys, they really like it real. Okay? Now, I've been working for a very long time, and I know that's a good note. Now, let's keep it real. Let's do that. That's a great idea. Let's keep it real because that's the way you're going to get this job. And she turns on the camera, and I don't know where I was, maybe a Greek outdoor theater, a musical comedy in high school, but I was as big as I possibly could be. And I couldn't stop myself. I couldn't even stop myself as an adult saying you could just stop. It's just her. And you could say, oh, I'm sorry, that's really big and stupid. I didn't listen to you at all. But I couldn't. I was on that train. And I finish. And I'm like, oh. And she looks at me. And I will love Sherry Thomas forever for this. And she looks right at me and she goes, well, we've got that. But they like it real. They really like it real. And I thought, okay, she is now sweetly giving me this note twice. So in my reptilian brain, I'm like, okay, forget it. And I sort of let go of everything. Not a bad idea. Anyways. And I say the words. And I'm in the situation. I do the thing. And I get in the car and I drive home. And I'm talking to the steering wheel as we did. And I thought, well, maybe it wasn't that bad. Maybe I'll get a guest star in Walking Dead, blah, 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 blah. 2 weeks later, I get a call that Vince Gilligan has seen the tape and they want to test me. A week later, I go to Sony and I test, and then I get the job. And all of this, the reason I tell both sides of this, the Dog with the Blog and the Getting Better Call Saul, is that it all happens with a span of 6 weeks. I did not become a better actor in those 6 weeks. And if I take the not getting the job on Dog with the Blog too seriously, then I'll also have to take getting the job too seriously. And neither are true, because I wasn't a different actor. I just wasn't the answer on that one. And I was on this one. That's really the way I look at it. And then from there, I was put into the hands of writers, directors, costumers, set designers, and cinematographers that, made me look like a movie star, made me look like I knew what I was doing, made me much better than I really am. And, I'm so, so grateful for it, It's a long-winded story to say, don't give up, folks, you never know.
And not only that, if you had gotten the dog show, you'd be on the dog show maybe for a week.
For a week.
You're on the dog show for a week.
Yeah. Let me tell you, it wasn't a recurring. It was a one-off.
So what about Better Call Saul? Was that a 1-episode deal?
No. He's 2015 to 2022.
Oh,
yeah.
Shit. I had no idea.
Oh yeah, no, it was like 50 some episodes.
Oh, well, no wonder they wanted to test you. I thought they were testing you for 1 episode. I'm thinking, what?
No. Yeah,
no.
So but that your character, Howard Hamlin, one of the most, very complex and tortured character. Did you just jump in, or did that evolve over time, or you were there?
Well, here's the thing. I can tell you another story. On one of the first days of work, Vince Gilligan leaned down to me. I guess I was leaning in. The lead, Saul, played by Bob Odenkirk, of course, comes in and refers to my character as Lord Vader. So when when the lead of the show is calling you Lord Vader, that definitely signals to the audience, and I think to me as an actor, I'm like, oh, they're talking about me like this. I must be that. And I guess I was leaning into it a little bit, twirling my mustache. And Vince came over to me on like one of the first days, and he just said, "Hey, here's the thing. We're not sure if Howard's a good guy or a bad guy, but I know that we cast you. So whatever that means to you." And I thought about that. I was like, huh, okay. He's telling me, one, gently, that I'm overacting, and that's cool. Two, I thought, huh, right. Don't assume you're the bad guy because we don't know. He just said they don't know. So don't know. So instead, who are you going to be? And really, I latched on to my father. I thought of my father if he was in charge of a law firm, because he's the straightest shooter I know. And I thought, all right, I'm going to, until proven differently by either dialogue or situation, Howard is running this law firm the best way he knows how and the most cleanest, honest way he knows how. And from that moment on, it was much easier. It was much easier to not have judgment on people. It was much easier to always have that be the focus, saving the firm, what's best for the firm at all costs, basically. And the costs end up being, of course, personal, financial, and corporal as well at the end. And but what they did is, week to week, we would get the scripts. We never knew what was coming on in advance. We never knew what was going to be happening by the end of the season. And frankly, I don't think they did either. As a writer's room, they functioned very much like they did at Breaking Bad, which I was told that they would get characters in situations, back them into corners, and then trying to figure out how to get them out. And so they weren't sure exactly where things were going to go. As a matter of fact, I think Vince is on the record as saying they thought Jimmy McGill, who was really Saul's the real name of him, was becoming Saul too fast. They're like, oh, we're getting there too soon. And then enter Michael McKean to play his brother. And that opened up a whole season and a half, basically, of the writers being able to go down that path. And so they were open to what was being given to them on the page and what was given to them on set. And I think I lucked into that notion of having worked long enough, especially with these guys. I respected the writing and there was no improv. I could have ideas and I could discuss things with them, before we got to set and stuff like that. But by the time we were at set, things were sort of locked. And the more I got to wear the suit and be the guy, the more they got to see that and write to that guy. And I got the benefit of them by season 5 and 6. There's a seamlessness of what's going on. And I'm not saying I'm not acting. That's not true. But there's a benefit at that point that the writers really they hear me. They hear my cadence and all that sort of thing. So, he started off as the bad guy, and then we sort of find out later on that he's probably really not the bad guy, although he might be kind of a dick. And then, I get a great exit off the show that no one, saw coming, which really helped.
Yeah, don't tell me the exit because I want to watch it now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Bobby has.
Absolutely.
We've been blessed by we're making a bunch of shows. We're shooting our show. And, I'm meeting Bobby's friends, Bobby's meeting my friends, and he has this thing where he takes out his phone. We're talking about a project. He goes, let me put it on the list.
I have a good list going.
So, and what an amazing organic way to make a show. Dear God, in my next life, I would like to be a genius.
Oh, yeah. Well, you say genius, and I'll say this. Another quick story. First day of work. Okay, so I get the job. Yay, I get the job. That's a good thing. So then I watch Breaking Bad and I binge it. And of course, then my jaw's on the ground. I'm like, oh my God, now I get nervous. In some respect, thank God I hadn't watched it. I would have been too keyed up. You know what I mean? I would have been like, And instead, for the thing that happened, I was able to sort of be myself, which I think honestly got me the job. And so I binge the show, and then I show up, and it's the first day of work, and it's a big scene. It's a scene in my office. I'm at the head of the table because it's my law firm, and Bob comes in because he has a big monologue. It's actually it's aping off the network monologue. You shall atone, and all this stuff. So it's very cool, and I make this idiotic rookie decision the night before that they'll probably shoot Bob first because he has a lot of lines and they're going to let me get a lot of chances and blah, blah, blah.
No, he wants to get warmed up. He gets to go last.
Oh my God, exactly.
That's
We
what,
rehearse the
you
scene
know,
and we leave and we come back and now there's 3 cameras pointed at me. And I don't have much to say, mostly reaction. But all of a sudden I was like, is it hot in here? What's going on? You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
First day of school jitters completely. And so Vince is behind the camera. We do our first take. Ray Seahorn, who, oh my God, so great, so wonderful. She's in the scene as well. She has 0 lines, but she told me later she has the exact same thought process as I do. So we do the scene, and all of a sudden Vince goes, cut. And he starts walking from behind the camera and walking down this long table. And I go into myself, oh, okay, he's going to come and he's going to lean down and he's going to say, I'm sorry, there's been a mistake. You're going to have to go home. And that's okay. You know, it's okay because I got the job. I can tell my parents, well, I got the job. And that's something, isn't it? That's something. But I understand. I get it. You made a mistake. And blah, 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 blah. And Ray had told me, Seahorn, that she said she felt the same thing, that he was going to come fire her. And instead, he walks down the table. And just before he gets to me, there's a plate of Danish right on the table. And he looks down at the Danish and he touches it and he moves it, I swear, 1/8 of an inch, maybe 1/4 of an inch.
I can relate to that move, believe me.
Right? As a director, you know. And then he looks back at me and Ray and he goes, oh, that was great. Just do that again. And he walks up around the camera and I'm like, oh. And I thought, okay, he's either insane or he's a genius. And that attention to detail on that very first day was what really we all rode the entire 6 seasons. Because the attention to detail of everything in the frame, and everything on the page, I think is what made the show so compelling. And so I trusted that right out of the gates. And but you know, Ray Seahorn and I, of course, having that actor mentality because we were the new kids on the show,
right?
And we didn't know what the arcs were, and the show had not been picked up and all that sort of thing. Every time a script was dumped, we just went and we'd call each other and say, "Not dead, not dead."
Did it ever? So then it never got. Did it ever get to the point? And I think you've kind of already said it. Probably didn't. That you know you're a couple seasons in. That the writers ever spoke to you about your character or ever used you as a creative, had any creative input on the plot or the character or the story?
You know, no one ever came to me and sought me out. And I came to them with some questions every now and then. And a lot of times it would be a question of like how to play something, or it seemed like an odd piece of information. And oftentimes they would be like, you know what? Here's a thought behind that, but we're not going to tell you exactly. It'll become clear in a couple of episodes.
Well, that was good news. You knew you had a few more episodes. You knew you weren't going to die.
Which I loved. I loved that. I was like, oh, good. But I also love the idea of like, right, because really, you know, we go through life not knowing what's next, and character-wise, you don't know what's going next either. So I really got, well, and also the proof was in the pudding. I watched the show, and I'm like, oh yeah, whatever they want. Whatever they hand me, may I rise to the occasion, really was the thought.
So when did you come into the show? What
first episode?
The first episode?
Yeah, I'm in the pilot.
Yeah. Holy shit. I got to watch this.
It's really early here.
Oh man, I'm sorry. I didn't know.
No, that's okay. There's too much to watch. I mean, I'm sure we all have our dirty secrets of shows that we pretend that we watch when we're in public, but we really haven't, right? We like everybody have the cues and stuff like that. You have to get like the flu, but nothing too awful that sort of keeps you down so you can actually binge something for a week or two.
You know, when you started telling the story about day one and who they were going to shoot first, I knew the answer because I was on a movie last year that was so small and so low budget that I was the important actor on the set, and it was an 11-page day. And the last scene, you remember though, I think on our movie, we probably did 8 or 9 pages some days maybe. And but I said to the director in the morning, because the last thing of the day was a 3-page police procedural scene. And there was 3 of us. And I did most of the talking, and I told the director in the morning, I said, you're shooting me last on that last scene of the day. Because I have the first half of the day nailed, you know. I have the first 8 pages nailed. Those last 3, I'm going to have to kind of learn on the fly. So as soon as you start
learn on the fly,
as soon as he started saying that, I was like, oh no, he wants to go last. He wants to get up to speed, you know. He's running the show. So, but before that, you had a bunch of. I wanted to ask you. So, on Grey's Anatomy, did you work with Kyler Lee?
No, but I worked with Kyler Lee on a pilot that never went. She played my daughter on a show. Jonathan Prince was the writer, and Barry, help me out, Petrocelli. Anyways, Barry was the lead. He played a shock radio host, and we were a big extended family. It was really great. It was for ABC. It clicked all the boxes. It was so much fun. We were so guaranteed. We were so excited. People were going to get on planes, and we're going to go to the upfronts. And then all of a sudden, not just us on the upfronts, only the producers. And then all of a sudden, not the producers. And all of a sudden, nobody was going to go, but we're totally going to get in. There's no problem about that. And then on the flight from Los Angeles to New York, somebody pitched ABC the idea of, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire makes a lot of money, and it's already set built. What if we put that on 5 days a week at 8 o'clock? And they said, how much money can we make? They said, well, you'll run out of it in about a year, but it's basically free, and you won't have to pay all the expense of making other dramas. And that's what they announced. Oh. And like 6 or 7 dramas that were slated to go were gone.
Amazing.
Man, that's horrible.
Show business. Yeah. But I know Kyler from that. And then, of course, she had massive success, and she's worked, ever since. But I did not see her on Grey's Anatomy.
Right, but what you don't know is that she was discovered by Richard Gabai in Miami in 1995 in a movie called Kickboxing Academy.
What?
And there's a hilarious, funny story. And even you, speaking of watching shows or saying you watch shows that you don't watch shows, you have to watch Bobby and I have a True Hollywood Stories episode of this Party Nerds podcast. You have to watch it. And if any of you viewers out there haven't seen it yet, watch it. There's an amazing Kyler Lee story. And by the way, besides the amazing story, which is also hilarious and unbelievable, you meet people and they're a huge star in the making, and it's happened to me a few times, and she was one of them. So when I saw that, I was thinking maybe you had worked with her, but it's good to see that you've done Will and Grace, Friends, NCIS, you've done everything. So you would have been
but no Kyler Lee. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I always wanted to be a pretty girl. It never happened.
You're very pretty, and you look great, and you look the same. You just changed your hair color.
Yeah, well, my hair color caught up with me. I'm starting to get cast like this, and that's okay. That's okay. I figure Anderson Cooper probably isn't my competition, and if they want John Slattery, well, he's John Slattery, and I understand that.
Well, so you got Richard Gere. I mean, it's working for him.
Yeah, he's Richard Gere though. So
yeah.
Well, yeah, there's that. Well, you got Steve Martin.
If we make the Anderson Cooper story, though, you'd be available.
Well, no. Okay. Do you remember? I think it was True Colors. Was they made a movie the week of True Colors? It was a political something or other, and I went in for the role of Anderson Cooper. And it's the only time in my life that I did flocking, and I flocked my hair white because I was like, look, he is that. So, I'm doing it. So I do that, and I get the glasses, and I remember walking in, and my fellow actor friend, Matt Lesher, who's very talented and a playwright as well. Matt was in the room, and I walked in with my white hair, and it looked like a bad Santa Claus. It was terrible. And I walk in, and Matt looks up, and he goes, "Oh, you went all in, huh?" And it was just delivered nicely enough but it got in my brain. I go and I do the audition, and my audition's fine. It's fine, but it was worth it just to see Matt and say that. And of course, in the end, who did they cast for the role of Anderson Cooper in this movie of the week? Anderson Cooper.
Really?
There you go. And there's that famous story of, I forgot whichever really famous actress, and in the breakdown it said, we're looking for a so-and-so type. And she walked in, she's still alive. She walked in with her Oscar and said, "I'm here." You can Google it. That actually happened. Like, we're looking for, name your super iconic famous actress type, who was an Oscar winner. And she was at home, not in work. And she went into the casting office with her Oscar and says, "Here I am." And I don't think they hired her. So they were looking for the type. They didn't want her, they wanted her type. This is a crazy business.
It is. And you know what? And when I look around, and again, going back to your son all of a sudden being older and taller, and my kids being older and taller as well, I'm like, oh, right. I've been around a lot, and I do have some advice here and there, and I have some ideas, but also it's an ever-changing, ever-squishing, flattening, crazing, stretching business. And the only thing that I really know in terms of advice for anybody on it is to get resilient and not try and take it too personally, and to get trained. To get trained and to stay interested and interesting on all levels, whether it's voiceover, whether it's putting the ping pong balls on you, getting in plays, find it all interesting. Get involved with it and try not to take it too personally. And it's I've been very fortunate and very lucky, but I also went to school and I stuck around and I went through the times when things weren't going my way. And I watched everybody in my early 20s, we all auditioned for Friends. We all auditioned for ER, only the Friends became the Friends. George Clooney became George Clooney. We all wanted to be Brad Pitt, but Brad Pitt and George Clooney are still playing those roles and they're doing very well at it. So
right, I'm your friend and I'm a big fan, but I mean those guys are a certain kind of good looking that God has to give you. You can't.
Undeniable.
Undeniable. You just can't. And even as a director, and that's one of the things that's really been fun about the show, and I think we were getting feedback from people watching it, is the advice or the thing, and you just sort of nailed it. And as a director or as an actor, I know when I walk in, or if I as much as I hate it, put myself on tape, I know in the first 10 seconds if the people are going to be interested, because it is so much a look that somebody has in their head. And if the acting doesn't get in the way, they can make it work.
Yeah, if the acting doesn't get in the way. And also, guess what? Sometimes my choice is not aligned with what the director and the writer were thinking. And they can redirect me and all that's good, but somebody else is going to walk right in that groove and get their attention. And then, like you said, first line out of their mouth, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, what's going on? And on any given day, I feel like I could have that. And there's certainly jobs where I could go back and be like, well, I absolutely should have gotten that job. And when I've seen who they cast or whatever, it's just such a fool's errand. It's such a waste of time. And that's why the job is auditioning. The job is stacking the deck in your favor as much as you can, given the situation. And I've always said, I always try to mentally go like, am I in or am I out? So an opportunity comes, whatever that opportunity is, however it is presented. And I have to decide whether I'm in or I'm out. And if I think the material is beneath me, or if I don't like what they may or may not pay, or if I feel like they should just offer it to me, all those things are window dressing. If I'm going to be out, great. We can go hike Runyon Canyon and have coffee and talk about it. And we can go to therapy and do whatever. But if you're in, well, now I have a job, because my job is to audition. And if I'm in, then I do all the things that I'm going to do in order to try and stack the deck in my favor. Get to bed early, learn the material, be stone cold on it. Am I wearing something appropriate? Did I get enough sleep? All those things that are in my control. Get there early, know what's going on, all of that sort of thing. Give it your best. Be open, listen, don't talk too much. I know it doesn't seem like right now, but really shut up and listen to what they're asking. Try and suss out what's going on. And then show them you know how to act. Show them that this is what you came up with, the material in the amount of time you had, and this is what you can do. You may be in the ballpark, you may not be in the ballpark. But if I show them that I am professional and I know how to act, it's not really this audition anyways. It's the one that happens in 3 weeks or 3 years. It's the casting director and the writer and the director who see, oh, he knows what he's doing. He's not doing it in our picture, but he does know what he's doing. You know what I mean?
It could always
and
be
then
the next
later
one.
on, you go like, I wonder if, can we get a hold of, and I do believe it works like that. I do. And that's why I like to sort of say yes to everything, because you're always going up and down the ladder. So, be nice, show up, be sparkly and hope for the best. But it is hard. It is hard. And other people are always going to be more famous. They're going to be more rich, and they're going to be better actors. They just always are.
So how do you feel about this whole phase we're in right now at the video audition?
My first thought, don't you know who I think I am? Oh, I'm better in the room, blah, 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 blah. Okay, great. Well, then you can sit around and wait for them to call you into the room.
Right.
But that ain't the business anymore. So you better learn to light yourself. You better go ahead and learn how to mic yourself. And if you don't want to do it, again, this is it. Are you in or are you out? Because the requirements for this audition today means that you have to set yourself up and you have to figure it out in your house, or you have to go pay for it. And if you don't want to do those things, that's fine. Sounds like you're not going to have an audition for this particular job.
And
right.
Listen, Bobby.
Yeah.
Patrick, he loves this. He moved across the pond. He's really glad they're on tape.
Well, you're not wrong. Guess what? I did a movie in New York, and I got it by auditioning on my couch in London.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, right, because nobody knows where the couch is. Nobody really cares where you are. They just want to know if they can get you to where you're going to be.
Yeah.
So it has flattened out. Although I will say, I don't like looking at myself. I'm not a good judge really, I think of when my work is better. You know what I mean? I need somebody to be there live to sort of give me the yay or the nay. And that thankless job, of course, goes to my wife more often than not.
Aha.
And when she proffers up, some nice suggestions or thoughts, you can imagine how mature I am about receiving that.
Absolutely. Hey, I want to ask. I know we got to let you go, but I want to ask you one more thing because we never talked about this, even though it was before the film we did. Because you ended up in that movie, The Last Exorcism, and I know that the horror fans are crazy, enthusiastic. God bless them. Thankfully, when you did that movie that ended up grossing $70 million worldwide, that was like a tiny little movie, right?
Yeah, that was like a $2 or $3 million budgeted film. Yeah.
Did you have any?
Did I have a piece of it? Did I get rich off of it? Absolutely not. No. But I made a chunk of change.
No, I didn't mean that. But
what was great about it was that Eli Roth is a producer on that, and we were shooting it in New Orleans, and we basically improv'd the entire movie. Is what we ended up doing, and that was really fun. And I worked with Iris Bell, and I worked with what's her name? Ashley Bell and Iris Barr. That's it. Ashley Bell was the girl who was possessed, and Iris Barr was the cinematographer in it. And we had such a ball. We shot it about 18 days in New Orleans, and then we had the premiere at the LA Film Festival at the John Anson Ford Theater. And that was the first time I saw the film front to back, which was great. It opened to $20 million on a weekend. We were in 2,000 theaters, and it was so successful in that initial bump that they flew me over to London to go to the Odeon during a horror fest where we got up on stage and we showed it to 800 people there. It was a really great weekend. It was really fun. And, other people made a lot of money on it. And, I made a little bit over the course of it, but it was really fun to see. It was really fun to see myself on the big screen. I'm a shit kicker from Central Pennsylvania. I used to go to the mall theaters, right?
Yeah.
And I got to walk into a theater and, that silver thing where the poster is. And that was the movie I was in. And I sat down with popcorn and there I am on the screen. And I tell you what, that was just like when I saw The Man Who Would Be King.
Yeah.
I'm not comparing myself to Sean Connery or Michael Caine, but there I was on the silver screen. And that was glorious and great. And horror fans are fantastic. They still come up and talk to me about it. And then just real quick, I just recently did The Ritual with Al Pacino and Dan Stevens, which was another Exorcist movie. I was not the Exorcist. I got kicked up to being a bishop, better clothes. But I didn't get to work with Al, but I did get to meet him and talk with him. And as an actor, again, to be able to hang out with him in his trailer and have, 15 or 20 minutes and basically shoot the shit was amazing. It's amazing, amazing, amazing. And by the way, I'm going to be at the Washington Horror Con in late October up in Washington State. Check it out.
Awesome, man. Yeah. So you're having fun meeting the fans. The fans are having fun meeting you. And
Absolutely.
Patrick, thank you so much.
Absolutely. Hey, thank you, man.
Great, Patrick Fabian.
Yeah.
All right, friends, that concludes another astounding Over the Pond episode of the Party Nerds Podcast. Please like and subscribe. I'm Richard Gabai, Robert Carradine, the great Patrick Fabian. Thanks, man.